On today's Jerusalem Dateline, the fighting intensifies. In Gaza, the IDF continues the offensive, and in Syria, troops discovered a significant weapons stash. Plus, Iran vows a future retaliation in response to the wounding of its president in last month's strike. And introducing Roberto Torres-Cedillo, newly arrived to report for CBN Israel and Jerusalem Dateline. All this and more coming up on this edition of Jerusalem Dateline. Hello and welcome to this edition of Jerusalem Dateline. I'm Julie Stahl. Iran has closed its airspace and threatened retaliation after confirming its president was wounded in an Israeli strike. At the same time, fighting intensified across Syria. Chuck Holton reports from Jerusalem.
Day 647 of the war in Israel, and the fighting in Gaza has reached new intensity. Israeli forces are ramping up the pressure on the battlefield in a bid to force Hamas back to the negotiating table.
Gaza, we are talking, and hopefully we're going to get that straightened out over the next week. Let's see what happens.
Despite growing international pressure for a ceasefire, Hamas has rejected the latest deal, demanding a full Israeli withdrawal from Gaza. Netanyahu says that would only embolden future attacks.
We accepted the deal the mediators offered us. Hamas refused it. They want us to leave so they can rearm and attack us again and again. I will not accept this. I will do everything to bring our hostages back.
Meanwhile, in Syria, Israeli troops uncovered over 3 tons of rockets, landmines, and explosives in abandoned regime facilities. That discovery came as Israeli and Syrian officials met quietly in Baku, marking a rare diplomatic step between the two longtime enemies. But while Syria's new leadership talks peace abroad, its forces are cracking down at home, fighting with Druze militias in the south amid reports of dozens killed. In Iran, officials now confirm their president was wounded during last month's Israeli strike on a National Security Council meeting. The regime has vowed the injury will not go unanswered. Tehran has since closed its airspace, raising fears that a retaliatory strike on Israel could be imminent. In a provocative post on Instagram, an advisor to the leader of Iran's parliament posted an image of nuclear mushroom clouds over Israel. At the same time, Europe is preparing to trigger snapback sanctions under the 2015 nuclear deal, cutting off Iran's oil exports and punishing companies that do business with the regime. The move could accelerate Iran's economic collapse. In Syria, one of the deadliest tribal clashes in years is unfolding in the southern province of Sado. More than 30 are confirmed dead and nearly 100 injured, according to Syria's interior ministry. But independent monitors say the toll is far higher, at least 100 killed, including children, women, and 14 regime troops, after government forces reportedly joined Sunni Bedouin fighters in attacks against the Druze.
We had more than 60 injured people come to Israeli hospital. The injuries ranged from mild to moderate to severe, and we also had 8 deaths.
Israel has responded with airstrikes on HTS positions near the border, meant to prevent jihadist gains and protect local Druze villages. Meanwhile, in Gaza, Israeli troops are still locked in combat with Hamas in Gaza City. The IDF says it's uncovered more tunnels and eliminated multiple commanders, but sustained the loss of 3 more IDF troops in combat operations overnight. And in central Israel, rebuilding has begun. In Bat Yam, south of Tel Aviv, crews are demolishing buildings destroyed by Iranian missiles during the 12-day war.
Tomorrow we'll be here, a lot of new buildings. We're going to demolish 20 buildings, but we're going to build them better, stronger, and there will be much more Israeli families running around here, and that will be the best answer to our enemies.
From Jerusalem, I'm Chuck Holton for CBN News.
Just last week, CBN launched a new program, the 700 Club Israel. It's a wide-ranging program about all things in the Holy Land, news, human interest features, and CBN's humanitarian outreaches. You can check it out on CBN's website, cbn.com. In the premiere episode, CBN President Gordon Robertson spoke with our bureau chief, Chris Mitchell, about peace in the Middle East and the ideological realities that could prevent it from happening. Here's an excerpt from their conversation.
In my view of it, well, Israel's never been at peace. in its entire history.
Right.
There's always been a declaration of war that has stood against them since 1948.
Yeah.
So are we going to see that? And is peace now breaking out in the Middle East?
Well, some people think so. If the Abraham Accords are expanded, like many people think they are, and just have a season of peace. I mean, that doesn't mean every nation in the region, including Iran, and whether or not that will see a regime change as well, but it's a relative time of peace. And could that happen in our lifetime? And could that proceed, as we talked about Ezekiel, and maybe prophecies in Daniel as well?
Well, the underlying ideology, I don't think, has changed.
Right.
And so the ideology of the Houthis, the ideology of the Ayatollah, the ideology of Hezbollah, what prompted Hamas, just look at the flag of the Houthis. You know, it's, let's praise Allah, but it's death to America, death to Israel, kill Jews.
Right.
That's all on their flag, and they really mean it. This is not, they think they're serving God.
They do.
By killing Jews.
Yeah. The same thing with Hamas. You kind of wonder, after so much punishment that they've taken militarily, that they're still fighting. And it's just this ideology that goes to death, where they feel when they die, they're a shaheed, martyr, they're going straight to heaven, and maybe 72 virgins. But this is an ideology that's fanatical, that's so deeply rooted, that has the Houthis, has Hamas, even Hezbollah continuing the fight against Israel.
I don't think many Westerns really understand that.
No.
That these fighters think their very soul depends on them staying in the fight.
Yeah, and I think that's one theme we have tried ever since the beginning of the Bureau back in 2000, to educate Western people that we're not looking at a Western region. We're looking at a Middle East thought and culture. And somebody described it sort of like going to the Middle East bazaar. And when you're in the bazaar, as a Westerner, you really need to know you're not in Kansas anymore.
Yeah, and it's a completely different framework of thinking. They're not thinking about necessarily a better life for their children and grandchildren. They're thinking, how can I die a martyr? And how can my children die as martyrs? That's their greatest goal.
Yeah, and I was talking to a friend of mine the other day from Israel, and he was saying, the Oslo Accords was sort of based on a Western construct. No, this is what, land for peace. We can do this. We can barter this. But no, this is not the kind of thinking that many people had, and they're in the Middle East.
Yeah, and if you do come to peace with Israel, the next step for the fundamental Muslim community is to kill you.
Yes, exactly.
So everyone knows that, too.
Yeah.
I'm joined by Roberto Torres-Cedillo. He's our newest staff member here at CBN in Israel. Welcome, Roberto.
Thank you, Julia. It's a pleasure to be with you.
So what's your history with CBN?
Yeah, so I've been at CBN, believe it or not, 14 years.
Wow.
I was a student at Regent University. That's what led me to Virginia. And while I was studying at Regent, I started doing a type of internship with CBN. And next thing you know, I started in production and going to sets. And I just knew that I wanted to really work in film. My plan wasn't to stay at CBN that long. I really wanted to go maybe to Hollywood or to make movies, big films. But God had different plans, as he often reveals to us, that his ways are much better than our ways. And so it's been a process of finding that out. And now, after many years of working in the headquarters building in Virginia Beach, I've had the privilege of to do several things. 700 Club in Spanish. I've worked on different productions, collaborated with 700 Club Interactive and other CBN brands, and it's been great. But recently, the Lord put it in our hearts to take this step of faith to come to Israel. And it's a long story, but really part of it is that growing up, I knew that I wanted to come to Israel and study here. I had just had this passion, and I think that passion was planted by the Lord. And as an 18-year-old, I almost came here to study for 6 months.
Wow.
But my parents said, wait, you need to go to Regent first. You need to study first. And I didn't really want to do that, but I submitted to what they wanted. I felt that was the obedience that God was asking me, and I did it. And then years later, look at how God is kind of weaving that desire again, where I can learn the language and work here and bring my family. So it's been a wild journey, but that's kind of in an abridged version of how we got here.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Now, so right after you guys arrived, we had the 12-day war with Iran.
Yes.
What was going through your mind at that point?
Man, it's crazy. You know, a little bit of context. So my wife, Annika, was born and raised here, as you know. So she's familiar with Jerusalem. She knows. But coming now with a young family, I have a 4-year-old, I have a almost 2-year-old, and we have a baby on the way. The baby's due this August. Ooh. So yeah, I mean, we're excited, and you know, I knew that the possibility of some conflict was evident, but I never thought that there was going to be a war. Yeah, we're still in a war, but I didn't think it was going to be this massive, crazy, you know, run down to get, you know, to the shelter, and there's missiles flying overhead, and seeing all that. Of course, it did create a level of anxiety and stress. I'm trying to be strong for my family, you know, and then you really have to kind of come to terms with, did God say this? Are you in God's will? And you have to go back to those words. You have to go back to the scriptures that he reminded me, no, this is what I have for you. And you really got to take hold of that, because when the test comes, you know, the enemy would want you to doubt, did God really say this? And we know that that's the devil's way of trying to get us to, you know, go off track. So definitely, it's been a testing experience.
Now, you're new here, but you're not new to CBN. What's your role going to be, and what are your goals?
Yeah, I'm super excited. So one of the things is I get to collaborate with you guys, with the Jerusalem Dateline staff. Really looking forward for that, to do that. And at the same time, the audience may know that there's CBN Israel. There's an office here. It's a humanitarian outreach of CBN here in Israel. And amazing work that CBN Israel is doing. You know, part of the vision is to really help the most vulnerable in Israeli society. People that have suffered, you know, terror attacks, people that are living under the poverty line, people that are single, you know, single mothers, orphans. There's so much need here in Israel, and also victims of, you know, people that have survived the Holocaust, and how to provide for them, take care of them. So part of what I'm going to do is tell those stories, you know, tell the donors, tell people back in the States of the amazing work that is being done here. And of course, the work is being done because the Lord is giving us grace to do this, and is empowering people to donate, to support. We couldn't do this without the support of donors all around the world.
So Roberto, may the Lord bless you with your new baby on the way, and your new job, and all these new things.
I appreciate it.
May the Lord bless you, and we're really happy to have you.
Thank you so much, Julie.
Thank you. Since October 7th and the war in Gaza, many American college campuses have become hostile places for Jewish students. That's led one organization to prepare a new generation to stand tall in its identity and stand up to anti-Semitism. Our bureau chief, Chris Mitchell, has the story.
Many universities across the U.S. today have become fertile ground for anti-Semitism.
They are facing tremendous opposition, even just to live, to walk around campus, just to show up as who they are, but even more so to do something Jewish or to have an impact in a Jewish way.
That's what Nitsavim Fellowship and Jewish Year Abroad intend to help students change.
The idea of our whole organization is to try to get as many kids to come to Israel for study abroad during their gap year, and then to empower them with the tools and the excitement to go onto college campus and to make the biggest difference for Israel and the Jewish people they can.
They're off to secular universities, 32 of them. They've got 24 different programs that they're going to be implementing around the country in these secular universities to potentially have an impact on 12,500 Jewish students, to help them to strengthen their Jewish identity, their commitment, and their continuity.
This is the 4th year that we've been running Nitsavim, and it gets bigger and bigger every year.
Hebrew University's Ronit Lavi leads undergraduates at the Rothberg International School.
They have a teacher, a professor, who teaches the course, and they talk about how to tackle anti-Semitism on secular campuses in the U.S. when they go back. Even after October 7th, it's even more a necessity of dealing with it on campus. Making sure that fellow students who aren't Jewish get to know a little bit more about Jews and what it is to be Jewish, and about Israel and all the good things about Israel and about the Jewish community.
CBN News first talked to students in the Nitsavim program last year and asked Rabbi Isaacs about their challenge on hostile campuses.
When they got onto campus with all the preparation, they said it was still shocking. They were ready, As soon as the first encampment opens, they knew to stand on the side with the Israeli flag. They knew to contact security whenever they had issues. They weren't scared, they were confident and ready to step up when they needed to.
Elisa Ben Shalom, the Jewish matchmaker seen on Netflix, planned to bring joy to this evening's showcase.
My role tonight is the MC. I got to get the energy up. I got to get people pumped up and excited, happy to be there. And nobody's going to sit in their chair like this, like, oh, when is it over? They're going to be like, oh, that was amazing.
Hebrew University Jerusalem hosted Nitsavim Shark Tank-style showcase. These gap-year high school students pitched bold ideas on how they would strengthen Jewish life on college campuses. The first prize, $5,000. Ben Goodman won this year for developing an education app for Jewish students.
I wish that I can take this to insane heights, and I wish to hopefully impact the college Jewish community. And I hope not just because I'm going to NYU. I don't want to take this just to NYU. I want to take this to all schools around America.
Five-time national marathon champion B.T. Deutsch and Israeli real estate developer Hani Horowitz helped judge the competition.
I see American girls, American boys with so much enthusiasm that they are proud of being Jewish. I'm amazed. I'm amazed from, all the work that they were done. The guy who took the $5,000 came out. I said, why he's going to college? I would take him to my company. He was so ready with this presentation. Everything was so clear. And he got all the questions and the answers.
I thought tonight was incredible. I really believe in investing in the future of the Jewish people, our student leaders. I loved the energy. The vibes are amazing. You saw passion. You saw excitement. You saw students that want to make a difference. And in a world that can feel really negative and really hard to just keep going on, this gave me so much hope.
Tonight for me is a time where we can just come together and be Jewish people doing Jewish things and having a bigger vision and a dream to impact the world for the greatest good. That's our vision as the Jewish people. We want to be a light unto the nations.
Thank God they're not sheep going to a lion's den. Okay, they're tigers. They're ready for the battle. They're equipped with advocacy skills. They're equipped with how to answer anti-Semitism. They're equipped with being able to strengthen Jewish students on campus who are intimidated, afraid, not what to do. They're set up to create entry points for them to have fellowship together, to strengthen each other that way. So they're really frontline people that are going to fight this battle.
Chris Mitchell, CBN News, Hebrew University, Jerusalem.
American college students are not the only ones fighting anti-Semitism. There are others fighting an information war for the minds and hearts of the next generation. Two pro-Israel influencers are Yishai Fleisher from Judea and CBN's Chuck Holton. In one of Yishai's latest podcasts, he talks with Chuck in front of the ancient cave of the patriarchs in Hebron about radical Islam's agenda to overtake Western civilization, one child, one family at a time.
But you're now fighting this media war. The media war is being fought. The bad guys are big players like China, Russia, Qatar. And the target is not you. It's the young people. That's who's being targeted. That's right. The next generation. Look at campus. Look at TikTok. And the question is, what's your hope for the next generation? What do you think? Is there a way to reach them and bring them on board? I could tell you as an Israeli and a so-called settler that my value internationally, my moniker, my good name has been sullied very badly. And when I'm sullied, then this place is sullied, and when this place is sullied, then the book of Genesis is sullied, and if the book of Genesis is sullied, then therefore the pillars of biblical civilization are undermined. What's your hope, if you have? Let's just be honest. I don't want to put it into your mouth.
No, I'll tell you what my hope is.
I'm in the middle of something.
My hope is, I'll be quick. My hope is
take your time.
very much this, that you outbreed most people in the world. And
have those babies, those faithful babies.
That's right. American Christian conservatives outbreed most of the people in America. And demographic decline is the biggest problem that the world faces today, as far as ultimate survival. You look at places like even the United States, which has a higher birth rate than many places in the world, but we just slipped below 1.6. That is terminal demographic decline. It means the next generation will be 40% smaller than the last generation. And so much of this comes down to people saying, oh, I just can't afford it. Well, what they're saying is, because your ancestors raised kids on nothing. Their kids were an asset to them to help them survive, not a liability. But what you're saying when you say I can't afford kids is I can't afford kids and maintain the lifestyle that I want to have, right? And so it's a very selfish thing to say. But
well, selfishness and narcissism is a big part of our reality today.
That's right, absolutely. And so this is what I believe is that the way out of this, the way forward in the United States and here in Israel is get married, have a lot of babies, and keep them out of the public school system, so so that they don't get infected with leftism.
Well, I would just tweak that from my perspective is just like you said, get married, have a lot of babies, and teach them the biblical values.
That's right, absolutely.
In America, that's you said it in American.
Parent is the primary educator anyway.
Right.
But a lot of parents abdicate that responsibility.
Right.
And so what you see is this movement in the United States of people saying, no, I'm going to take that back. I'm going to be the educator.
Right. And I say oftentimes when I'm speaking to groups, I say to them, yeah, keep having those babies, and mamas, teach them the Bible, read them the Bible. And for us Jewish people, it's continuing to make this country strong, push back against jihadism, and push back against our internal anti-biblical so-called leftism, progressivism, but our own tendencies in the Jewish people that are certainly problematic tendencies. When a Jewish person is not godly, biblical, going in the path, that powerful person can be turned to become an enemy of Israel.
Yeah.
And that's definitely what happens around the world. And that also sullies our good name, undermines the brand of Israel, and we're working on it. Chuck Holton, people can find you on YouTube. You've written The Hot Zone.
Yep. And you can go to chuckholton.com and get everything there.
Including your 7 books?
11.
11 books.
Yeah.
Tell me about who your agent is afterwards. Anyway, good for you for all of your good work out there. And you're definitely what we call a narrative warrior. You're out there teaching. First thing, you're showing people truth, showing people, conflict. And for us here, you're showing also, the story of Israel. And your good work is a shining beacon. So God bless you. And thank you very much for being with us. And be safe out there.
All right. Appreciate it.
That's all for this edition of Jerusalem Dateline. Thanks for joining us. Remember, you can follow us on social media and access CBN content through our CBN News and other CBN apps. And please keep praying for the peace of Jerusalem and for Israel during this critical time, and that all the hostages can come home safely. Remember, the God who's watching over Israel and you and me neither slumbers nor sleeps. I'm Julie Stahl. We'll see you next time on Jerusalem Dateline.